Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's.
Bonjour, mon ami. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so delighted to have you here. I hope you're having a fantastic summer. We are still in France, living our best life. By our, I mean me. Amelia has gone back to her dad's. I'm so proud of her. She's very brave and flew by herself. Her only requirement was there to be a lounge while she waited, which I love that about her. And she was brave and courageous and landed safely. And I miss having her here. I love the way that she made the chateau her own. And she has been the first to christen the new furniture by sitting on all the couches and relaxing while I'm working all day long. I'm making this house beautiful and ready for you to come play with us. So we've got some retreats coming up in 2027, lots of opportunities with the Cognac Jewelry School. Also, I'm going to be doing a very fun antique and Christmas markets trip, which will be at the end of November. This is all 2027, so you can save the dates now and attend to everything that might keep you from this fabulous yes to yourself. You've got all the time in the world. I'm so eager to share today's conversation with you. We have Kathryn Morea, who is a transformation coach and speaker who helps women over 50 reclaim visibility, desire, and confidence by challenging the cultural myth that aging makes women invisible. Now in her 60s, Kathryn embodies the work she teaches. After reinventing her identity, body, and sense of desire later in life, she emerged not with a quiet acceptance of aging, but with her most confident, intimate, and expansive chapter yet. Kathryn speaks directly to women who feel overlooked, underestimated, or disconnected from their sense of aliveness. Through coaching, embodiment practices, and honest conversations about desire, sexuality, and emotional sovereignty, she guides women back into presence, power, and self-trust. I know you are going to love this conversation with Kathryn Morea.
Kathryn, I have already decided that this is going to be an amazing conversation because you're so cool, and I'm just thrilled to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. I also am thrilled to be here, and I love the podcast, and I love what you are sharing with midlife women. It's absolutely my passion.
Thank you. I know, right? And you're just to dive right in about your passion, that's not something that you decided in middle school that talking to midlife women was going to be your passion. So,
Would have guessed.
right? So tell me a little bit or a lot, a bit of how this shift happened for you.
Right. Well, and I suppose this is probably the story for many of the women in your audience, but I was married for many years, 29 years, and then I got divorced and separated in 2018, and I was in my early 50s, and it was really hard.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But, some of the things that happen in our life, we don't necessarily choose, and then we learn from them. and finding my voice and finding my identity and reestablishing and redefining my identity is now something I've sort of come to the other side of. We're never done, right? We're never complete. We're always human becomings. But right now I'm in a really good place, and it took me years to get there. And there were some really hard won battles in that. And I just think, wow, if there are other people, that other women specifically, that are currently where I was 6, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, I would like to show them that there's hope and there's bright, sunny futures with lots of abundance on the other side of that. And so that's what I'm talking about and sharing, and it's just such an exciting time, and there is so much available, and I didn't know that there was, and I lived in a lot of scarcity, especially when it came to dating and men and love and and what you're going to do in that second half. So I think I'm really lucky to be on the other side of it, and I want to share those stories with people who need to hear them.
I've just figured out why I think you're so cool. It's because we're the same person.
Yes. Exactly. And I've been listening to a lot of what you've been sharing, and I'm like, wow, this really speaks. I'm so glad that you have a voice and you're sharing your stories and the women that you're talking to through the podcast, because I think it's so helpful. It's so helpful. And these things weren't available, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's great that we can tap into it now and get the support that we need through podcasts like yours. Thank goodness.
Thank you. And with the work that you're doing, because like you said, and like our experience was, we only knew what we knew. But then Buddha said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And once this switch was flipped, first of all, there's no unknowing. You can't go back.
Yes.
Once you have
you can't unsee what you just saw.
Right. And whatever cooperative components came together for you to see it, whether it was something that was beautiful or something that you would identify as tragic, let's just say it's the thing that got me to who I am now. And so because of the result, I'm grateful for the path, right? Because
Yes.
we wouldn't have known.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy with who I am now, and I'm happy to be living in my 60s in my best era. And who would have thought? I never would have thought. I mean, my grandmother died in her 60s, and I didn't think, when you're like in your 20s or 30s, you're like, those are old people.
Right.
And then when you get here, you're like, wait, I'm not that old. And so being able to experience, a sexy 60s, who would have thought?
I love the 60s. I can't wait. As a 58-year-old, I am breathing down the neck of the 60s.
Yes, there's a lot to look forward to.
You are
there's
my favorite
there is
person.
a freedom to not worrying about getting pregnant, and there is a freedom to not worrying so much about your reputation as an older woman. Midlife women, we don't have the pressure of, gee, I have to find a husband and baby daddy who's worthy, and I have to, set that up so that I can have the family, because we're on the other side of that. Many of us are, either done with that, or we have, teenagers and empty nesters, that sort of thing. So it's a really different experience than what a 20 or 30-year-old in the dating scene is looking for. So you can either be upset about that and regret it and go with, your feet kicking and, screaming and not wanting to get old and not wanting to embrace a different era. Or you can say, wow, this has some amazing advantages that I didn't have as a young woman. So
Right. I love that. And I think that for me, at least, and tell me if this is true for you, because my epiphany, my enlightenment, whatever, the thing happened that I started saying yes to myself. My catalyst, I was going to say trigger, it wasn't a trigger, it was a catalyst, was in January of 2020. I just signed up for an online business course and had no idea that my entire life was going to change as a result of the things, the principles I learned, and the people I met, and coupled with it ended in April of 2020. So the whole world shut down. And for me personally, my whole world had just opened up
Oh,
because of that experience of the 12-week course I was in. And so the shutdown became for me a creative incubator of intention setting, of completely creating an entirely new life, an entirely new woman, an entirely new experience that then led to not entirely new people, but less people than used to be here. So,
oh,
right, just because it wasn't no longer, I couldn't unlearn what I learned,
I see. Yeah.
and he wasn't interested in evolving. He was interested in me just being happy with the way that it used to be. And
Yeah.
I wasn't available for that. So my courage set both of us free.
Wow.
And yeah, it is. It's very powerful. And whether he recognizes or not, it doesn't matter
Right.
because I decided that I'm going to live this life. So I think what my question to you was is that because this happened to both of us at the age, in our 50s,
Right. In our 50s.
it makes all of the things that are coming that maybe we used to think were far off or undesirable now, like, oh my, like this will be better. Everything
Yes.
is better than I anticipated because I'm better,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. And I used to think when I was married, and I was mostly very happily married,
Totally.
um, until the last couple of years.
Yeah, I
Um,
was till I wasn't.
right, right. And I would think to myself when I would see, my friends who were single struggling with dating and whatnot, and I would think, oh my God, that would be so terrible. That would just be so awful to be
Right.
single and not have my person. And you know, we are set up and conditioned in many ways to pair off. And so when society is very much, around the couple, and then when you're older and you're starting out new again, like, oh, now I've got to like go out in the dating world and put myself out there. And I didn't really cherish a lot of that first couple years of that experience, and
Yeah.
found myself really depressed about some of that. But when you get to the other side of that, whatever that trajectory is for you, it took me a good 5 years or so, and some different things happening, including like glowing up and just taking more responsibility for my own health and
Mm,
wellness and going to the gym. And then things did start to happen, and I realized the abundance of men and fun dating opportunities, and I started to see it in a different light. And so instead of becoming this thing that I got stuck with, that
right.
this thing happened to me and now I have to put myself out there, and I'm doing it begrudgingly, instead of going like, wow, if I were still married, I would never have had all these amazing experiences with these
Right.
different people. And each one opens you up. And each time you're with a new person on a date, it gives you a chance to find your voice.
Yes.
It gives you a chance to realize what your boundaries are and speak them. And then you realize that these things for me were a pattern that was showing up everywhere in my life. And it was showing up in business
Yes.
and other relationships with friends, where I would silently, like, take something
Hmm.
and swallow it down and be like, oh, they didn't really mean that comment. They probably didn't realize that was a very hurtful thing to say, and just take it. And then when you get to experience new relationships and new people in your life, and you go, well, I don't want to repeat those patterns. So how do I find my voice and say, I have a boundary about that? Or, hey, I want to talk to you about something you said yesterday, and getting a chance to actually use your voice. And there's so much power in that. So I love that this has forced me in a way to up my own voice and my boundaries and learn to say no to things and learn to ask questions to things that I never had to do when I was just safely married off with one person. It's forcing me
Right.
to grow in a way that I needed to grow, in the
Yeah.
theme that was reoccurring in my own life.
Oh my gosh, that is so generous and yummy, and I could talk all day about that. I have a question about something you said at the beginning of that because I know what you meant, and I want to go back and have you bring some more clarity to it.
Okay.
You said you had a realization about you called it a glow up. So I want you to talk about that
Yes.
because I love it. And I don't want our listener to hear, and then I started going to the gym, and then men showed up, as if the connection is I am not desirable before, and now
Yes.
I am. And I know that you did not mean physically. I know I'm assuming, let me just say,
Yeah.
what I think you meant when you show up for yourself and you love yourself, it's hot. It's
Yes.
attractive. It's magnetizing. Like you did
Yes.
not say, I am so frustrated that I have to play this effing game and I'm not 20 years old anymore and it takes more work, but I have to do this thing that I don't want to do because
Yeah.
I want to date that guy. That was not the story. That
That
was,
probably was my story, in 2018 or 2019, that I
yeah,
felt like I have to be this thing, this younger, hot, blonde, big boob, 20 something
right.
that I'm competing with because I did
Yeah,
see it as a competition. And honestly, when I would find like in my periphery, in my circle somewhere, I would find the 40 something, 50 something, partner esque male would show up.
right,
I'd be at a meetup somewhere and this guy, I'd find out that he was newly divorced or something. I'd be thinking, oh, this is a potential date for me.
right.
And then I would meet him the following week with his 29-year-old fiance. And I would be pissed. I
Right,
honestly thought, well, if the 50 somethings are going with the 20 somethings, then what's left for me? Do I have to go with a 70 or 80-year-old because they're all dating younger? And what I saw, which is kind of like confirmation bias, you see
right.
that someone older is dating someone younger, and then you think, oh, that must be how it is. And then you start to find other ones, right? And so pretty soon, all I could see were these old men dating young women, and no one was left for me. And and so, that sort of begrudgingly, like, I better clean up my act and be young enough and pretty enough that I can compete with these 20 somethings. And it's just such a crock of bull.
Yes, it is. You can say it.
It's such a crock because, you know, when I stopped thinking about that and stopped thinking about the outcome of, oh, I have to kind of put myself out there to get a man. And I started focusing on my own journey. And I just put that on ice for a while. At some point I just sort of had enough of it. It was, you know what? I I had a friend send me an email, and it was so funny how sometimes you just need something. You just need something, and it pivoted for me. I was bitching and moaning about the life I used to have, and this is probably more than 5 years into being single, and saying, that why this is what I left in LA and this is what I left in my relationship. And gosh, it's not that way for me anymore. And I had regrets. I spent some time looking back, and she sent me an email and she said, you can't look back. You can only look forward. You're not going to get your old life back. And if what you enjoyed in the morning was having coffee and reading the paper, then go do that now. Go find a place that you
Right.
liked, reading the paper and having coffee, and go do that. And if you had a life where you went to the gym as a regular practice and you're not doing that now, then go to the gym. Go to the gym. And I was living in Puerto Rico and missing my LA life and my LA friends and my, former marriage and the kind of the habits that we had developed as a couple. And I was complaining about these things. And she was like, look around you, go on vacation where you are now. Live the life that you intend to live now. And it was a really simple email, but I just started going to the gym. At that point, I just went, okay, let me show up for myself
Yes.
at the gym. And the more I continued it. I just kept it going. And then I started to see, like, when I looked in the mirror, I started to like myself better. And that took, for me, it took something external to get there. And I think that path can be internal. I also started gratitude journaling. I started doing a little meditation. There are other things that I did. I did a life list, which is really an interesting practice, is just to sit down and list all the sort of experiences and things that you've been through. So I I rode in a hot air balloon in Cappadocia, Turkey. I walked
Cool.
Via Appia in Rome. I learned how to bake and decorate cakes and made a cake for my niece's wedding. I've given birth, like all the things that you've been through, maybe you survived cancer, you started a business, you sold a business. We have done so much by the time we're in midlife. And I don't think we give ourselves credit for the life we have. But if you
Right.
sit down and you write down like all this stuff you've done, seen, been to, traveled, experienced, you sat through a best friend when, her husband died and you helped her grieve through that process. Whatever it is, there are things that you did that were unique to you, completely unique and special to you. And when you start to list them out and see the life you've lived and appreciate who you are and what you bring to the table as a human being, then I think that also helps you realize that you are desirable and you are special. So
Mm.
gratitude about where you are. I do a daily gratitude journal every single morning, just one page of I'm so grateful for, I'm so grateful for my cute little cat, I'm so grateful to be back in California, I'm so grateful to be healthy enough to go to the gym and enjoy my life that way. And then things start showing up for you, so.
Right. I love your friend. I love
I know that
her
she said just
email.
what I needed to hear right at the time that I needed to hear it.
Right. I feel like I'm her for everyone listening.
Yes.
Like, I get that we are going through hard things. I get that whatever is happening in our country, and it doesn't even matter what year or decade you listen to this podcast,
Uh-huh.
it fits. Like, whatever is
True.
happening, like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
When I listen to podcasts that were recorded in 2020 and they're like, oh my gosh, well, the state of the world, it's never been worse. And I'm like, oh, you poor things. You thought that was bad. Hang on to your hat.
Well, and that brings up an interesting point too, is I ran for office many years ago and I used to listen to a lot of talk radio and a lot of news, and I became more politically involved. And I think that can be a very altruistic and amazing thing. And if that speaks to you, do that. And if you are probably in the stock market as a day trader, you probably need to know what's going on in the world. But that being said, I personally make a very strategic and intentional practice of how much news I want to subject myself to. Because, the whole if it bleeds, it leads news mentality, how much of that do you really need to be aware of? And I figure my son is going to call me and tell me about anything really important. If we're at war with someone or, you know, I might need to know a certain amount for real estate, where the interest rates are, but a lot of that stuff is going to get to you anyway. So I
Yes.
don't spend a lot of my energy and time and attention on news and things that I can't control. There's really
Right.
not much I can do about what the president has chosen to do. So, don't bury your head in the sand, but also like be intentional about what you use your time for. And I think using your, your drive time, or your workout time or your time that you're running or walking, doing your dishes and cleaning your house time for podcasts and YouTube subscriptions to enlightening and motivating things is a much better use of, what you're letting get into your brain,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, like I said, like, I know things are happening. And like you said, we can't control them, but what we can control is our experience of what's happening. And so I am not denying that that is going on. I am denying that that has any power over me and
Yes,
my decisions and how I'm going to live this day and how I'm going to say yes to myself. So
exactly.
twice a week, I'm sending this cosmic email that says, if you were happy reading the paper and drinking coffee, then go do that. If you were happy at the gym, go do that. Like, live the life you want. And that action and that appreciation and that intention setting, and you seeing how you connected the dots, you identified what you want, and then you did the thing that you want, you start closing the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And
Yes,
that gets, that's delicious. Like that, I want more of that. And then that takes your time. And then you're living on a beautiful property and buying houses in France and doing all the things that you want to do. It's
yes,
so fun. And no one's handing this to us.
right.
We are setting the intention of what we desire. And I personally, I believe this is true for you as well. I'm not requiring everyone else to get their ducks in a row before I live the life I want to live.
Right, right. And that is one of the beautiful things about being single too, is you can sort of, you get to be the master of your own destiny, and you also don't have an excuse for why it didn't work out. You don't get to say
Right.
like, oh, well, my husband didn't want to go on this trip, or oh, we never were able to really save money. It's on you now, honey. You know,
That's right.
if you're single, you get the benefits and the rewards as well as the downside of that. Like you have to take responsibility for where you're going and the life that you've set out for yourself, and that's okay.
Oh, it's thrilling.
So it's beautifully liberating.
Yes. Yes, it is. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Okay. So you have the glow up, you're on the dates. What else is happening?
It's funny. I had an experience of a perception that at some level I became invisible. And I've heard
Mm,
other women talk about this,
mhm.
that, at some point, maybe in their 40s, maybe in their 50s, they became invisible to men, but even there's an invisibility of just like walking into a department store and not quite being seen. And I realized that there were a couple components to that. For me, part of the invisibility was something that we try on and wear as young women. When we're used to getting a lot of attention from men, it's not necessarily safe. We learn that there are, predatory men. And so we learn, if you walk into a room and make contact with them, a man, you might be setting those signals that I want to have a conversation with you. I'm open to you approaching me. So we learn, especially if we're married, you learn to look down. You learn to posture yourself as being not open and not available to those conversations and those approaches by strangers and by men. You walk down the street with a certain, invisibility cloak around you. Don't talk to me, don't whistle at me, don't come up to me. I'm not available for this. And you learn that at a very young age. And so when I was married for almost 30 years. So when I was around other men, as I would be in business, I was secretly projecting I'm unavailable sexually. Do not approach me. Do not come up to me. Do not try to flirt with me. That's inappropriate for me in this state. So don't do it. So what happens is if you're doing that for years and years and years,
Sure.
it's really hard to unlearn it, and it's hard to even notice that you're doing it. So a couple things shifted, and, and it sounds so frigging simple. Learning to smile and make eye contact with people, not just
Sure.
people of the opposite sex, but people. I was at a comedy show last week, and there was a girl in front of me with a really cute blouse that matched her shoes. And I, tapped her on the shoulder, and I'm like, that is such a cute outfit. I can't believe your metallic shoes match your blouse. That's so sweet. So just being able to talk to people, smile at people, let people approach you. It is a learned behavior, I think, for other women. It's certainly true for
Mm,
me. And so take off the invisibility cloak, smile, accept the attention, be available to that, say hello. Be, in line at Starbucks and smile at people. It's amazing how beautiful those human interactions are. But, I was very closed off to that for a long time. You know,
right.
And so that's one thing. And another thing is with this funny story with my friend Kimmy. Kimmy called me at a job site. Like you know, I have a bed and breakfast, and I had a bed and breakfast I was working on in Puerto Rico. And my routine at that time was to roll out of bed, throw on some gym clothes, and go work out with a personal trainer that I had. He had a gym in his house. So I would just go to his house. I never like put on makeup or did anything. I showed up, dirty, hair pulled up on top of my head, and I would do my workout. And then on my way home, before I got home to shower, I would swing by the job site and see how the crew were doing and make sure that they had all their construction materials and that they were at working. And I would just, check in, show them I had eyes on the job, And so I was there one morning, and I would only spend like 20 minutes there at the most, just making sure everything was on point. And then I'd go home, and then I might end up going back there afterwards. Kimmy calls me and she says, "Hey, I want to see your property." And I said, "Oh, I really want to show it to you. Can we meet for lunch?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm really close. I'm just down the street." And I said, "Yeah, let's meet for lunch. I can pop over." And I'm like, no. Don't pop over right now. Because I'm like really sweaty and disgusting. And, just give me, let me go home and change and do my shower and whatever. She said, okay, fine. So I'm still there working with them and making a list or whatever the heck I was doing at that time. And she pulls into my driveway, and I see it's not just her. It's her and her very handsome boss, who's, in his 40s, in real estate, very successful, very, to me, the kind of man that I would put on my list as being, someone that I would want to impress. And here I was looking about as bad as I can imagine looking. And I ran out the other side of the property to my street, got in my car, and drove away as fast as I could.
Oh my gosh.
And then
So
I wouldn't talk to her. I was so mad. Like, how dare you show up when I specifically said don't show up? But ultimately, that's not her fault. That's mine, right? Because I'm the one leaving the house looking a fright. I'm the one, we've all done it. You put on your sweatpants because you don't have milk and you just need to go grab the milk or whatever. And that taught me a big lesson. Like, I don't want to be caught in public in a way that I'm not proud of how I look.
And can you speak to, because I hear what you're saying, I want to know about the intention behind that, because I think a lot of our conditioning says we don't show up in a way looking a fright because we want to be pleasing, we want to be liked, but I believe that I want to hear what's behind that for you.
Yes. So, what I've noticed for me is when I'm not in my most flattering outfits and my hair isn't, in a way that's pleasing to me, and I don't have my makeup on and I'm all sweaty and disgusting, I don't want to talk to other people. I don't want them to notice me. I want to, it's funny. I have a friend that I knew many years ago who would always have like the most immaculate hairdo and makeup and whatever. And she moved into an apartment with my chiropractor, ironically. And he said it was really funny because he'd see her and she would say hi and she'd be jovial most of the time. But every now and then he'd catch her just going down to get the paper or whatever. And she'd be like, just with her, hair back and no makeup on. And she wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't say hi. And I thought it's really interesting how when we put ourselves as hey, don't notice me, right now I'm just out to get my coffee and I really didn't prepare myself and I don't want to be talked to and I don't want to be looked at, then we're creating our own shield, our own invisibility. And so my point is, it's not for other people. It's because we don't want to be seen in that light. So why take a chance on getting seen in that light if it feels so icky inside of ourselves? So take the extra 5 minutes, brush your hair, put on a little lipstick. Like, it's really not that much.
Yes, the practice is similar to what the result of our conditioning was, but this has different intention behind it.
Exactly.
So the practice is the same, but the reason is not
different.
the same.
The intention is different. And the feeling that you have being in your best, like even if it's just going to 7-Eleven, like, and you happen to run into someone, like, thank goodness I was looking my best. Why shouldn't you be showing up in your best?
Right, because you're worth it and because you care. it is a shift in our mindset. It's like, oh, I'm doing this for me. And I might say, oh, I don't care or whatever. Like it just is what it is. Like, whatever, my hair appointment's tomorrow. You can see my gray growing out or whatever. But we get to reinvestigate that line of thinking and we get like, wait a minute, I actually do care. Wait a minute.
Yes,
How much longer does it take for me to show up for me in a
exactly.
way that I want to present? Because we're creating new neural pathways
Yes,
in our brains. There are ruts that are caused by the way that we're thinking, and we could be up leveling every area of our life. We're no longer available for loveless marriages. We're no longer
right.
available for a closet full of clothes that don't fit us. We're no longer available for storing all of this furniture that people keep dropping off. We don't want it. Like
Yes.
we
We talk,
all went
talking
through
about that
the
last night. That's so
right.
funny.
Like we just went through the year of the snake. Like we've shed everything that is not in service.
Yes.
There's still some work to do about around these narratives, around these things that we are tolerating, things that we are settling for that are not in alignment with the women we're becoming. They're not in alignment with what really is important. I
Yes.
want my daughter to know, like, that she has choice in how she shows up for things, and I show her that by having choice in how I
Yes.
show up for things and what I show up for. And if I am feeling too rushed or too busy or giving 0 Fs. Like sometimes that's the day. Probably
Yes.
not the day that I want to actually be in public because, and I will not turn my microphone on that day either,
Right.
probably.
And
But
you become invisible that day. And that's okay too. Like we have a choice.
yes,
But what is your inner dialogue telling you as you go
right,
through the process of putting
exactly.
on makeup? Is your inner dialogue is I hate that I have to do this to be desirable to men. Screw that. Or is your inner dialogue like, isn't it great that I have tools that my grandmother didn't have, that my makeup is so much better? Isn't it great that I can do, Botox and I can have extensions and I can have the coolest clothes even on Shein for $7.89. I can have like a cool pair of yoga pants. These things were not available to my mother's generation or my grandmother's generation. And it's fun, it's playful. I look at men who are our age and what can they do? They can do things, okay? They can go to the gym, they can, they can get a hair transplant or whatever, they can dress well, but they don't have nearly the choices that we have. And it's great that we have these choices, right? It's wonderful that we can wear eyelash extensions if we so choose. Those things were not available, a couple decades ago. And so it's for me, I've always liked being a girl. I've always loved, glitter and and frou-frou things and lace and and makeup and all of that. I think it's great fun. And I still want to play dress up, so tap into what we liked as a little girl, being in fantasy, and we get to do that now. We can be in a fantasy, in our own life because we have those things available to us. So if you're just resenting it and regretting it, yeah, then that sucks. Who wants to go through that process? But if it's like, wow, I get to play dress up and take care of myself in this way and take selfies, like we can do selfies, and it may be like, okay, are you full of yourself? Maybe. Maybe, but is
Good
it
for you.
really?
Good for you. Be
Yeah.
full of yourself. Try it on. See how that fits. See, you get to course correct and you're not going to do it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not doing it is the only way you could not do it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not a fun place to be.
No.
If you have to hide and hibernate for a bit because you've just come out of something, okay, I get it. Take that time, lick your wounds, figure out yourself, do the inner work. But ultimately, like if you want to have fun in the world, then get back out there and take care of these little things. It's amazing how much just, you know, doing your hair, putting on your makeup and putting on something flattering. And then you feel like, oh, let me walk out into my car and I don't mind if someone stops and looks at me at the red light. I don't mind if when I walk into the Starbucks to get my coffee that someone handsome is in line and I can flirt with them. And there's something very freeing about flirting with someone when you don't have to win their affection. Right? So I got to this point where I knew that I had the attention of men, and I learned to have a confidence. And so then I would see someone handsome at the gym and I would just go up to him and just because I knew I didn't have to win his affection or
Right.
approval. And then it was really fun to just be able to walk up to a guy and be like, oh my God, your biceps. Like, that's amazing. And then walk away. No expectation of, wow, I hope he asks me out. I hope this goes somewhere.
Right.
Just like, I can compliment you as a person. It's very freeing just to be able to like freely go up to someone and compliment them and make their day. Now,
Right.
he's going to be talking about that to all of his friends and feeling all happy that some woman approached him at the gym. So, like, give other people that validation too. It's a fun game to play. It's really fun.
There's so much freedom in that also when, like you said, you're not trying to win the prize. You are the prize. You've already won.
Yes. And once you realize that there's abundance out there, however that happens for you, for me, I started getting a lot of attention on Instagram because I was posting my workouts. And I did it not for the attention. I did it for accountability for the most part. I wasn't going to pay for a personal trainer. So when I started going back to the gym, I just started, and I was 40 pounds heavier at that point. I just started posting my workouts and just a little 30-second blip of my workout. And I did it with the intention of if I post this workout today and then tomorrow I don't post a workout, I'm assuming that my friends who follow me on Instagram are going to see that I didn't post a workout and know that I skipped the gym.
Right.
Now, in reality, nobody cares. Everyone's doing their own thing and no one's really cares.
Which is
But
all that is the through line for the whole thing. Do your
yeah,
hair, don't do your hair, put your makeup on, don't put your makeup on, wear the cute dress, don't. It's
yeah,
all for you. You do
yes.
what you want to do for you. Nobody cares. But yes, if thinking they care motivates you to do the thing, then they care deeply.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, they're noticing people are liking this. Every now and then, someone comments. So if I don't show up this way, then they're going to know that I skipped. And so that pressure of going to the gym and making a video of my workout just to be accountable to these people online, many of whom I didn't know. And it didn't matter whether they liked me or not. But in my mind, the story I told myself is this is my accountability. And also, it was great to see as the progress went along, the difference. And it was also really good when you don't have a personal trainer watching you to check your form. So it was a way to look at like, I would look back at the video and go, oh my God, I was, slouching, or I wasn't really, reclining far enough, or this looks awkward, or even ask people like, hey, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
Does this look like the right way to do it, as a Romanian deadlift? And so those were
Wow. I don't even know what that is.
those were sort of some of the reasons. I would just go on YouTube and I would look up like leg workouts or something, and you get a
Okay.
workout, and then you try it out at the gym and record it with your little tripod, and then you post it online and be like, is this the right form for this? And then you get some engagement that way. But anyway, so that was interesting because one of the side benefits is I started getting these random men DMing me and showing a lot of appreciation,
Yeah.
just hitting me up. And I was like, wait a minute, me, you're of all the women out there on Instagram, like you're having a conversation with me. And then it started to build. Like I did start to get more confidence from those external sources of being like, oh, I guess I'm attractive in this way. Like I wasn't doing it for that initially, but I found it it did do something for my ego, and that was really nice. So I would say like if you're interested in validating yourself that way as a practice, maybe even make up a fake Instagram and
True.
put some stuff out there to get that attention. If that's what you need to prove to you that you're attractive and desirable, then you can do that as an exercise as an anonymous person and just get that feedback and live off that. Go like, okay, see, I've proved it. Okay, good. Check that box, and then go out in the real world and use that confidence that you built through this fake online world and translate that and transfer that into the real world. Why not? We have it available to us.
Everyone gets to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, for them, obviously, like, don't
Yeah.
just, I'm not saying go be mean to people on Instagram because I said you could do whatever you want. You could. Don't
Right.
be a jerk, but you get to, like, these are great ideas.
Yeah.
Whoever can implement, you can do whatever you want. You are following a feeling of relief. You're reaching for a better feeling thought. There is not one way, one path to the next iteration of you. But you just take the next step. And if that feels good, yay, take another
Yes.
step. If it doesn't feel good, then shift, course correct, do the thing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I think it's cumulative. And so as you're working on improving yourself and you build on that layer and you're like, okay, now I feel better about, my body. Okay, well, now maybe, do extensions or change your hairstyle or try on wigs and clip-ons and different things, then you can be like, it's funny. I have one friend who really doesn't like makeup and all that. She's more of a tomboy. She's athletic, but not into all that stuff. You put makeup on her and she's like, oh, this feels so weird. And then it was funny. I bought like a clip-on, ponytail or something, just added a lot of volume to her hair. And I put it on her and she's like, oh, this, it feels awful. She didn't take it off.
Haha.
She kept it on all night. And it was really funny, like all of the people that were commenting on her appearance and everything. And I'm like, see, like it works. And, it's $20 and all of a sudden you got all this mane of hair, right? And so you build on that. You're like, oh, you know what? Let me, get my teeth bleached or let me, do some Botox or whatever. I'm not saying you have to do all those things, but it's really funny how some of this stuff accumulates. And for me, some of it was external, the gym, the clothes, the hair, and some of it was internal, the gratitude journaling, the life list, the morning practice, the synchronicity journaling, the identity journaling, like all of those things, listening to the podcast, right? Listening to this podcast, Say Yes to Yourself, and listening to, other YouTube motivation. Like sometimes I'll just, I'll get in a funk about something, business went, whatever, and I'll just like, oh, let me have some Tony Robbins right now. Like, let me get out of this, let me absorb it and feel it, and then let me move on and get out of it. So,
Right.
And some of that is just a practice of inner dialogue and deciding how much time and energy you're going to allow negative self-talk to take up your mind space. So when you're like, oh, this guy, he's really screwed me over. And, what does he think he's doing? And how can he get, I'm not going to let him get away with this. And, and I notice when I'm having that inner dialogue, perseverating about something, right now it's a lot more business focused, but whatever it is, like, yeah, this guy took me out. He didn't respect me. And,
Mm.
okay, have that conversation for a minute, but then get over it. Don't sit there and give it more time and energy. Like you
Right.
need to, was there a lesson to be learned? Was there something to be gained from that? What would you do differently? Okay, great. Now don't spend more time thinking about that. Because I found
Right.
that there was a lot of times I'd be thinking about something for, 45 minutes, playing out these different scenarios, what I
Right. Talking to your friends about it, journaling about it.
yeah.
Like,
And,
you don't need, we're not here to be right. I want to be happy. I don't need to be right. I don't need the validation. I want to be happy.
yes, yes. And focusing on those things and spending a lot of mental energy on those things, I don't think it's very productive. So
No,
sometimes I'll just think about some awesome experience or some awesome guy that I met, and I'll just be like, let's pivot off that and let's think about this other thing. Let me just
sure.
focus on that for a while, or
Yeah.
whatever, like my cat, my silly cat, and how he plays around and, chases his tail or whatever. Like I'll think about that, but you have to notice that you're doing it
Right.
pivot off and do something else. But I think all of those things are available to us and a cumulative, as we're going through reinventing ourselves.
Right. And it takes practice. Mastery comes from repetition. We were talking a little bit before we hit record about just how much intention is around our word choice.
Oh,
And
yes.
when you're in this process of creating a new narrative, it took a long time to have a conversation with me because I'd be halfway through a sentence and be like, oh, wait a minute. I actually don't believe that. Okay. I know what I don't want. What is it that I do want? I want this. I want that. Okay, here we go. All right. Now back with you. Let me go. So
Yes.
it takes time, but I'm holding space for myself because it's important. I'm important to me.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. Yeah. And thank goodness we have the things available to us in the podcasts and in YouTube and in the books that are available now, that if we want to get on the right track, we can. It's available. But sometimes we're not ready. There is a grieving period if we've been in a relationship. If you're suddenly, widowed or suddenly divorced and you weren't expecting that, then, there's a grieving period. But then, okay, now it's time to make the right word choices, and how much time we're going to spend complaining. And if you think all men are dicks or assholes or whatever,
Yeah.
you're not going to get one. That's not the energy putting out there that's going to manifest itself in a beautiful relationship for you. you know
Right.
but
For
also,
sure.
if you tell yourself that all men are dating young women, if
Hmm.
that's the story you're telling yourself, then you're not going to manifest any sort of relationship. And one thing I realized, after, like I said, my glow up or getting my head right with abundance, was that there is a beautiful, beautiful, sexy power in being a MILF or a cougar. And that so many men who are younger are looking at, getting a mature woman as being like a real sign of masculinity and sexual prowess. And it's so beautiful because as I've talked to these different men that I've dated and met, there's like that, oh, I always wanted to meet, a sexy older woman, and there's like this pride that they have from like, oh, okay. And when I realized that they see it not as, oh, I couldn't get the 25-year-old, they see it as, wow, I got it. I got a hot 60. Like that's something, right? That's like
Right.
bragging rights. And it's funny. It reframed it for me when I realized that, oh my God, like I'm got on these dating sites and I get thousands and thousands of likes. I mean, I'm on Tinder and I remember when it hit 9,999 likes,
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Yeah. And just going, oh my God, like there is so much abundance. There is so much abundance. What story was I telling myself from 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 20? I was telling myself a different story because all these people were out there, right? And I was out there, but it was just reframing things in abundance. The funny thing is, I discovered there was one guy that I got together with that he'd actually really liked me for a long time. And he liked me in my more robust state, shall we say. And he actually liked me better. I mean, we talked a bit and it was like, I kind of liked you when you were a little more, I forget the word he used. It wasn't insulting, but I just thought, wow, I was so unavailable for that at that
Mhm.
time because I saw myself as being unattractive and overweight. And I didn't feel good in my own skin. And if you don't feel good in your own skin, people perceive that.
For sure.
So figuring out how to feel good in the body that you have, I'm so like unashamed and happy with the body I have right now. And don't apologize. I see women all the time doing this. They're on this apology tour, and I have been too. So I'm certainly guilty of that. But I do try to catch myself, especially if I'm with, a new man, and I'm not going to sit there and apologize for having, pregnancy stretch marks, or something sagging or not, no, like they're not thinking it. Why do you want to put their attention on it? Why do you want to sit there and go, oh, I'm sorry that I'm not, my stomach isn't as ripped as, it once was or whatever. Why do you want to go there? Don't apologize. A man is chosen to be with you. And if he's with you and you put his attention on something negative about yourself, you're telling him that his choice to be with you was the wrong choice. Right? So why do that to him? You're invalidating his own choice about being with you in that moment. So if he's chosen to be with you in that moment and you're choosing to be with him in that moment, then you are everything he wants. And just assume that.
Right. And just be there. Just be in the moment.
Be in the moment and be okay with your body as it is in its current iteration and be happy with it that you're desirable right now to another person who wants to be there with you, or he wouldn't be there. So own it, be happy with it, be brave with it, and just enjoy the freedom and the liberation of being a woman in midlife. You're here, you earned it. Not everybody gets to be here. Not everybody makes it, to this age. And I heard a woman say one time, why are you afraid of getting old? Isn't that the point?
Yes. Totally the point.
Isn't that the point? Some people didn't get this far. They got cancer, they got into a car accident or whatever. They didn't get to be in their 50s. They didn't get to be in their 60s. So, let's be happy that we've done the right things and made the right choices and had the luck that got us here,
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay. I could talk to you all day long. This was so fun, Kathryn. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you and
Yes.
work with you and all the good things.
Absolutely, because I'm so excited that I've launched my coaching program to help midlife women re-identify who they are in their second half.
Awesome.
And ending that through beautiful glow-ups and sexuality and gratitude and all the good, yummy stuff. So first, I just want to say I've just sent you a Calendly link, and I am offering a free 30-minute one-on-one consultation with me about your glow up, your midlife glow up. And so book me up. I'm so excited to be talking to all of your listeners. So book me up. That will be, I hope, in the show notes. I just sent it to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram at Kathryn Unleashed. That's Kathryn Unleashed. I do interact with people if you send me a message there. But what I'd really like to do is have a one-on-one call with you. So book me up.
That's so generous of you. And yes, we will absolutely link everything down in the show notes. Thank you so much, Kathryn. This was really fun.
I had so much fun with you, Wendy, and I can't wait to hear all the rest of the episodes of this year now that I am a great listener of this amazing podcast that you're doing. Thank you for putting it out there.
You're so generous. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wright House and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.